In the light of two previous videos of cyber terrorism module, we will come to the third part of the video, where we discuss that response to the menace of cyber terrorism, Indian response. In that, we will try to discuss Information Technology Act 2000, Information Technology Amendment Act 2008, and Cyber Policy of 2013, then conclusion and suggestions and outcomes of this module. Now, Indian response to the cyber terrorism. As we have discussed, the cyber terrorism is a menace to the whole universe, and every country is fighting against or fighting to curb this cyber terrorism or the menace on this universe. If you take the example of all the developed countries and developing countries, every country is fighting and has enacted stringent laws, including China, US, UK, Britain, UK, Spain, India, Poland, Peru, Malaysia, Japan, all the countries we can consider. And in this regard, India has enacted Information Technology Act 2008 to respond cyber terrorism, but there was no provision as such to curb or to respond the cyber terrorism, which is a menace to the universe. So, for this purpose, in light of the 2000 Act, a new amendment act was passed by the Indian Parliament in 2008, Information Technology Act 2008 amendment, and section 66F it was inserted, and we have discussed in the previous video, the first one. Now, the important aspect which need to be considered here for the discussion, because already we have discussed section 66F in the previous video. So, now this is National Cyber Security Policy 2013, which is very important for the purpose to understand the steps taken by the government to curb the menace of cyber terrorism. So, India has launched its cyber security policy known as National Cyber Security Policy 2013 on July 2nd, 2013. The policy will enable integration of ongoing and new activities in program under the umbrella framework, sustained and coordinated strategy for implementation. And the vision of the National Cyber Security Policy 2013 is to build a secure and resilient cyberspace for citizens and business and the government. The main focus to build a system to get information regarding threats to information communication technology infrastructure and respond it timely. At the same time, the main objective of the policy of 2013 is crisis management by effective deterrent and practical actions. A 24/7 mechanism shall be created to get strategic information regarding the threats to ICT. It helps in creation of an arena for response, resolution and crisis management through effective, predictive and preventive response and recovery action. National Critical Information Protection Center, this is NCIPC, is being created in 2014 for enhancement, protection and resilience of national critical infrastructure. A 24/7 national level computer emergency response team CERT India is in functioning as a nodal agency for coordination of all efforts of cyber security, emergency response and crisis management, and it will also function as an umbrella organization in enabling creating an organizational of sectoral CERTs as well as facilitating communication and coordination action dealing with the cyber crisis situation. Further, for controlling and reducing the risk of vulnerability in all e-governance initiatives by the in the country, it will mandatory that they should implement best practices, business continuity management and cyber crisis management plan, and also improve the security posture. For reliable and sure communication, government is using public key infrastructure. So, public key infrastructure is set of hardware, software, people, policies and producers needed to distribute, use, store, revoke digital certificates. And in cryptography, a PKI is an arrangement that binds public keys with respective users' identities by means of certificate authority. Now, a bilateral and multilateral relationship have developed in the area of cybersecurity with other countries and enhanced national and global cooperation among security agencies, CRTs, defense agencies and forces, law enforcement agencies and judicial systems as well. Now, come to the conclusion of this module. It is interestingly we can conclude this module like information technology has transformed the world. Simply we can say the global community now has no boundary, and it has this internet has entered into our homes and increasing the risk of being affected by the cyber attacks. Cyber terrorism has developed with the development of computer networks, and cyber terrorism is any harmful activity in the cyberspace which may cause damage to person, to property, to even to the state or the society or as a whole. In other words, terrorism related to cyber is popularly known as cyber terrorism. So, the cyber terrorism is different from the conventional crimes. So, the law enforcement agencies finds helpless to curb within the existing frameworks of infrastructural mechanism. And now, India is not armed with the India is not armed with to fight menace of cyber terrorism, except the Information Technology Act 2000 and Amendment Act 2008 and National Cyber Security Policy 2013. Critical infrastructure has not yet been defined and identified in the policy and IT Act. Only section 70 is given that these are certain factors or these are certain areas which can be covered in section 17 or critical infrastructure. In the era of computer where information technology and other developments have crossed the national frontiers, whereas law is still struggling to define and redefine the boundaries to check the cyber crimes. The cyber crimes or cyber law, specifically the Information Technology Act 2000, is for the prevention and control of cyber crimes within the country's territorial jurisdiction. A common vision is required for the secure and hygienic cyberspace. So, now come to the learning outcomes of this module and certain suggestions we can go by. On the basis of our discussion in all three videos, cyber terrorism leaves us with the following outcomes. One is cyber terrorism is a new phenomenon altogether. Second, no universal acceptable definition of cyber terrorism still exists or available. Third one, critical infrastructure is more prone to cyber attack and such attack can be termed as cyber terrorist attack. Fourth one, cyber terrorism is different from fourth one, cyber terrorism is different from the conventional terrorism. Fifth one, India needs stringent and well structured law and policy on cyber terrorism. So, in this way, in the whole three videos, we have discussed the cyber terrorism, what is the meaning of cyberspace, what is the meaning of cybercrime, what is cyber terrorism, who has coined it, what are the factors to be considered under cyber terrorism, who are the cyber terrorists, and at the same time what are the forms of cyber terrorism, whether cyber terrorism is a reality, whether it is in existence or not. And now we have discussed in the final slide the response to cyber terrorism. Thank you.